FCFredTV. Today we are going to preview the PASL Mid-Atlantic semifinal matchup between the Virginia Legacy and the Fredericksburg Generals. The game is set to kick off tomorrow night at 8 o'clock at the Fredericksburg Fieldhouse. On today's show, we have goalkeeper Brian Shumate and Generals captain Kelvin Jones.
The Fredericksburg Generals went 6-2 in regular season play, good enough for the #1 seed in the Mid-Atlantic Division going into the playoffs. A big reason for that is the play of our goalkeepers, including Brian Shumate. How you doing, Brian?
Doing well.
Good. We've had a great season. We've been in a new conference. So what is your overall thoughts on the regular season heading into playoffs?
I think very successful. Certainly good level of play. I would have liked to have seen us probably go unbeaten. We had a 3-game skid in the middle of the season, but we bounced back, fought to first place, and really solidified our spot. And placed our dominance on the conference this year.
I think being #1 seed going into playoffs definitely proves that. You've played twice against the Virginia Legacy. First one before Christmas, and just recently last week. What are your thoughts on the Legacy as a team and how the Generals match up?
I think they're a very good side. Very young. They got a lot of high school guys that are very good players, but still, sometimes their inexperience shows, especially in the first couple of games that we played against them. But any team that you play 3 times in a season and you've taken the first 2 games away, the third matchup is always going to be the most difficult. They got a big, strong forward in Bobby O'Brien, formerly from Virginia Tech. Does a great job holding the ball up and causes us a lot of problems. But at the same time, I think, last week we missed Sean Hinkle and Anthony Canelano that both play in the back, and getting them back this week, I think we're going to see a much different General side. Not necessarily better, but certainly more dynamic, more organized, and I think we're going to take it to the Virginia Legacy. I really do.
Dude, coming out of last week's game, the Virginia Legacy goalkeeper, who is 17 years old, had a great game.
Unbelievable.
And I think going into tomorrow's night, it might be a matchup of goalkeepers. How do you feel about matching up and placing the responsibility on your shoulders?
I love it. That's why I became a goalkeeper. But, that he played unbelievable last week. I mean, he really made some tremendous saves, a couple of saves that I was just, at one point in time going, we're not going to score on this kid, and we're not going to win the game. I think his inexperience showed a little bit, but at the same time, he did everything he could to keep them in the game. And I certainly think tomorrow night is not going to prove any different. I think it is going to come down to how the goalkeepers play, but it also is going to come down to how many opportunities you generate. And if you generate 30 opportunities compared to 15, I think there's a lot more chances to score goals, and that's what it's going to ultimately come down to.
Excellent. Last week we had a record crowd at the Fieldhouse. We had over 1,100 people. What are your expectations for tomorrow night going into the playoffs, just from the crowd, from the team? Just your thoughts a little bit.
I think it was tremendous. I don't think anybody from this area has seen anything like that from this area as far as soccer is concerned, ever. And having that many people in one location that are rooting for a common cause was special. It really was special. I think going into playoffs is going to be even bigger. I expect people are going to be uncomfortable a little bit because it's going to be so packed. But it's a good problem to have, and I think people are going to really reap the benefits and really see what it's all about.
I think the fans played an extremely important part last week. Going into the fourth quarter, we were down by 3 points, and I think once the fans got behind us, it kind of propelled us to victory. So tomorrow night, 8 o'clock at the Fredericksburg Fieldhouse, bring your support and wear your red shirt so we can create a sea of red. Next up, we have Kelvin Jones, captain of the Fredericksburg Generals. Welcome back to FCFredTV. I am now joined by Generals captain and leading goal scorer Kelvin Jones, who just recently re-signed with the Richmond Kickers. The Generals have been very successful over the past 2 years. What's the biggest reason for success of this year's team?
I'd say coming into it, this year's team is a completely different team from last year. Last year's team, we had probably a better concept of the game itself. This year's team, we probably have better individuals, so it's kind of taken a little bit of time for us to grasp the team concept of the indoor game. But at the same time, with all these guys being new, it's gelled together, and these guys are quick learners, quick thinkers, and you put that on the field with great athletes, great soccer players, and it all comes together quickly.
This year's team is infused with a lot of local talent, past and present guys that have grown up in the Fredericksburg and Stafford area. What does that say to the level of talent that's come through this area of Virginia?
I'd always say the level of talent in this area has been good. You can see with obviously the guys who are playing here, but prior to playing here, These guys played in top-level colleges. A couple guys at ODU, a couple guys at JMU, myself and Kevin Edwards both played in the ACC, so obviously there's talent in this area, and it's just about finding it.
Playoffs begin tomorrow night against the Virginia Legacy. What is it going to take for this team to win a division championship? Last year we kind of lost to Charlotte at their place in the conference final, but what's it going to take for this year's team to get it over the top and take home the trophy?
A full 60 minutes on and off the pitch of dedication and concentration. Throughout the season, we've had problems where we've gone up big, and at the same time we've let the teams back in where we probably should have finished the game. So as long as we're mentally focused throughout the full 60 minutes of the game, I don't want to say we shouldn't have a problem, but we should win.
So tomorrow night, come see if the Generals can beat the Legacy at 8 o'clock at the Fredericksburg Fieldhouse.